Hi, I'm Benjamin Mack-Jackson, founder of the World War II Veterans History Project. And today I'm going to tell you the story of World War II veteran Alfred Scheibner, who served in the 3rd Infantry Division and was wounded in action in the Marr pocket in February of 1945. Now, this style video is new for our channel. Typically, we're sharing the stories of veterans through documentary films and veteran interviews, but today we're going to do it through artifacts, through actual pieces of history from our nonprofit's collection. This particular collection of artifacts is very special to me personally and also to our nonprofit. Scheibner was the 2nd World War II veteran I ever interviewed for this project, and I'm honored and humbled to be the caretaker of these artifacts and, of course, his incredible story. We have everything from photographs to documents to medals and, of course, his uniform over here. And we're going to start on this side of the table with Scheibner's medals. Scheibner was awarded 2 personal decorations during the war. Of course, you had campaign medals or the Army Good Conduct Medal, but these are the 2 personal decorations he was awarded. You have the Purple Heart and you have the Bronze Star. Now, the Purple Heart, of course, was awarded for wounds received in action in the Marr pocket in February of 1945, and the Bronze Star was awarded for acts of valor in Italy of February of 1944. Now, the Bronze Star medal here, and of course the Purple Heart as well, it's complete with the case, with the name of the medal on the top. You have the full-size decoration, you have a ribbon bar, a lapel pin, and what makes Scheibner's medal actually quite interesting is the fact that it's engraved on the back with his name, Alfred A. Scheibner, which is an interesting characteristic of this particular decoration. This is the original citation here for that award, which describes how on February 29th, 1944, at about 0400 hours near Isola Bella, Italy, he was a radio operator with an artillery liaison section that was destroyed during an intense enemy artillery concentration that was firing in preparation for a counterattack. Scheibner carried his radio for over 20 yards of exposed terrain in order to continue the transmission of a friendly fire mission. Although the disabled tank under which he sought protection received several direct hits, and he was showered with dirt and shell fragments, Private Scheibner continued his transmission until the enemy counterattack had been repulsed. And this is the original citation with the 3rd Infantry Division letterhead, and it's signed by a Brigadier General W.T. Sexton. And the date of the award was February 29th, 1944, the date that the action took place. And at the time, Scheibner was serving in Battery C, 39th Field Artillery Battalion. And this was not his first time under fire. He had seen action in North Africa, and of course here now in Italy. But he also went on to participate in the invasion of France, which is where he received his Purple Heart Medal. And this was for wounds received in actions in, I believe it was February of 1945, February 2nd, 1945.
One day, February 2nd, I was in the Jeep and we were being bombed, strafed, so I ran away from him. It was a big open highway, and that's where I shouldn't have never done it, but I don't know why, but I had to run away from that plane. And in so doing, when he dropped his bomb, the Jeep rolled over it. The engine of the Jeep took most of it, and the steering column was blown off. Big hole through the floorboard. I could see my leg drew up, and I could see through my leg. And then when I got the Jeep finally stopped, I rolled out of the Jeep because I couldn't climb out. I had to really, literally fall out. And when I laid on the highway, I discovered I was wounded in both legs, but I was all covered up with blood. I thought maybe my whole lower section was blown up. I called for my buddy, and he crawled on his hands and knees. As a matter of fact, on his belly. He was dragging himself up. He said, "I can't help you. I need help myself." I said, "Oh gosh, I guess this is the end then," because I could see, like I said, how I was wounded. And out of the blue, a soldier come over the field, and he says, "I'll help you guys." And how he helped was, a Jeep was coming up, loaded with his ammunition, and he wasn't going to stop. He was just going to go right through, because all this was airplanes and everything going on, you know. And this GI stood in the middle of the borrow pit and us on the Jeep. He had to be run over if that Jeep wanted to go through. And when the Jeep actually stopped right in front of him, he says, "Let's help these two guys." Well, there's three fellas in that Jeep. They jumped out, they grabbed me, threw me in the trailer, and grabbed him, the other guy, and threw him on the hood. And we were gone. And we drove maybe a mile or so to what they call the aid station. And then they dropped us off, and then they went on. What they were going to do, I don't know, but they were heading along with the ammunition. That was really an interesting day. At February 2nd. Never forgot it.
Now, this is Scheibner's Army Good Conduct Medal, which was basically awarded for good and honorable service in the Army. And it includes his full-size decoration, the Army Good Conduct Medal, as well as the corresponding ribbon bar, which you see here, and the lapel pin. But there's also another interesting piece that was tucked inside of this box when we received this collection from Scheibner's family. It's the Son in Service pin, which is just a very small lapel pin with the blue star in the center, which would have been worn by Scheibner's mother or another relative to signify that their son or relative was serving in the armed forces overseas. We also have a few spare ribbon bars, a spare 3rd Infantry Division patch, which was the unit he served in, and of course this portrait here, which depicts the uniform that's behind me here. Now, a few interesting characteristics about Scheibner's uniform. Of course, you can see the Presidential Unit citation here on this side of the breast. You have the ribbon bar with the ribbons depicting the Bronze Star, the Purple Heart, as well as the European Theater Campaign, Army Good Conduct Medal, and the World War II Victory Medal. Now, the ribbon bars themselves have what are called devices on them, which indicate the amount of campaigns you participated in or the different amphibious operations. And Scheibner's actually includes 3 arrowheads as well as a silver battle star, which would indicate he participated in 5 major campaigns, which could include 3 amphibious operations during his time in service. And of course, if you tilt the uniform here, you also see the shoulder sleeve insignia of his unit, the 3rd Infantry Division, as well as some overseas stripes, which each of these indicates 6 months of overseas service. So that would be 2 years that he spent overseas during World War II. And like I said, this is the exact uniform that you see depicted in this photograph here of Scheibner, where he's wearing the 3rd ID patch, he's got his ribbon bar, and the 4 overseas stripes as well. Now, the photograph you see over here on my right was taken during training before Scheibner deployed overseas. You can see him standing here in the back, and here's also a portrait that also would have been taken prior to his deployment overseas. And what's interesting about this is it's a yard long, not for his unit that he served with when he was overseas, but it's a more of a training detachment when he was training to learn how to become a field artillery forward observer. Now, all the artifacts I talked about today were donated by the family of Alfred Scheibner, and we're very grateful and honored for the opportunity to carry on his memory, not only through the oral history, but through these incredible pieces of history as well. And if you're interested in seeing more videos like this on this channel, like I mentioned, this is a new style of content for us, be sure to let us know in the comments below. We've got hundreds, if not thousands of artifacts and thousands of stories to share, and we'd be honored to bring them to you here. So if you're interested in seeing more content like this, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and support our efforts to give the past a future, one story at a time.